Welcome to another Founders Wisdom Pod with Sandeep Giri. Sandeep is the founder of CloudEx Lab, just moved to Toronto. We're going to speak about AI, big data, data science, machine learning, and everything between. This pod is brought to you by podfire.com. If you want to start your own podcast and scale it the unconventional way, you can go to podfire.com. Sandeep, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and cloudexlab.com.
All right. So I've been working into the technology for around 21 years, and I worked with the top companies around the world. Like I worked with a company called DE Shaw. I worked with Amazon. I worked with Inmobi into the data sciences and the AI and the technology in general. And I founded this my third startup. My first startup was T-Bits, where we basically created a software with which most of the power plants in India are built. And that I sold in Hyderabad, in India. And then I moved to Bangalore, and in Bangalore, I started CloudEx Lab. And in between, multiple startups happened. And with CloudEx Lab, we are able to build technology and AI. And it's essentially a big platform for people to learn AI, machine learning, as well as right now, we are basically focused on creating the SQL-based and RAG-based chat agent, which can answer questions on structured and unstructured data. So that is something that is, that I'm right now working on. Specifically, I'm open sourcing the technology for securing SQL interface to your database. And that is something that I'll be announcing next week for open source.
So both you and Jeff Bezos worked at DE Shaw and Amazon. What a coincidence.
Yeah. That's you're the first one to spot it. Yeah.
You just moved to Toronto, and I had quite a laugh because I looked at some of your posts. You posted a photo at a Costco, which is like a sign that at least you landed somewhere in North America. Costco is this beautiful thing. Yeah. And then you said that you failed the driving license 4 times. How did that happen?
So I think this is something that you can connect with machine learning really well. My fault was that I already knew driving in India. Okay. And in India, you basically have very different rules, very different demeanor. You don't have lanes and you don't have proper signal. So you drive in a rash manner. Okay. So the reason I failed was not because I did not know driving. The reason I failed that it took time to forget driving. Okay. So in machine learning, when you think about it, so you model, there are big models. They start memorizing a particular area, like what happened to New York Times data set, right? With OpenAI. So it started memorizing that part and it started failing on other parts. So similarly, you have to make it forget. So I think forgetting is also part of learning. Yeah, that's how I look at it.
I think an AGI would have told you to file for racial discrimination after the second time, and you would have got your license instantly in Canada.
Not really. Honestly speaking, it was the right thing that I failed. Okay. I wouldn't have done.
Probably. Well, it depends how you drive, but I'm in Mexico right now. I'm a Montrealer, so learn to drive the proper way or the civilized way. But I think when you drive in these environments with that much more movement, you're actually a better driver, have better reflexes, and because people can come from all directions, I remember once in China, there were 5 vehicles trying to get into one lane. There was a bicycle, there was 2 motorcycles, and 2 cars trying to get in the same lane. And that's when I knew I landed in Asia.
It's a very interesting part, right? So the dog's ears, right? When you domesticate a dog, it starts drooping in like one generation or two generations, right? And the reason is that it doesn't need to be alert, it doesn't need to be, awake. And so like for everyone, right, for the dog in the jungle, it's not safe, but it keeps him alert. But in the same way, if you are in India or everywhere, you are on alert all the time. But at the same time, there's a chance of accident. There's a lot of chance of accidents. Okay, so I think it's the same analogy. Like you lose the dogs lose their hearing ability when they are domesticated, and in the same way, I feel that you feel sleepy in the car here, and in India you get stressed out when you're driving. You get stressed out, super stressed out. And I funny thing is that whenever me and my wife drove, I would drive and my wife would sit by the side. We would end up having a fight, me and my wife, because both of us would get stressed out, and in the end there's so, but the fight has not happened yet in Toronto so far.
Yeah, I'm not driving here in Mexico, but I have plans to get a car, but I'm still evaluating of the utility of it, because I have my mountain bike and I can get anywhere faster. The only reason would be security, like if I get hit by a car, it
Yeah.
can be pretty bad for me, but I think I have high risk of dying from a disease from not doing physical activity, right? My case would be pretty much impossible, but there's also the benefits of biking to places. Montreal's a bikeable place. Toronto, not so sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they're on track, but who knows? You recently left India on your side. How's the AI scene in India, vs the one that you're currently in Toronto, in Canada?
So when I'm meeting companies here, of course, every new startup is an AI startup as of today. And every company is enabling their softwares with AI. So here, and in India also, the same trend had started. Okay. The And I think it is very hard to distinguish or very hard to calibrate whether it's better in India or here, because in this generation, in this era, everybody has same access to information, right? All papers are published on the same day, or everybody is here getting the news from the same sources, and the there could be minor differences that people here, the investment in AI is higher. Like there are dedicated institutions, like such as Vector Institute is here. There are 3, 4 more institutes around here who are putting in a lot of effort. And you have University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, and so they are basically putting a lot of effort, and their courses on AI and machine learning, fill up really fast. So when I came here, I just organized an open talk, like at Loblaw's office, and to my surprise, more than 450 people, around 450 people actually did RSVP, and it was we had to stop the registration very quickly, and then I went to Elevate Festival here, and then I met few more. I went to couple of more events. What I saw was that yes, everybody is awake with respect to AI. Everybody is paying attention. Till what I see a difference between before ChatGPT and after ChatGPT. Before ChatGPT, everybody had this hesitation that, hey, is it is the funding going to dry up? Will the winter of AI will start? Everybody had that thing. But after the success of ChatGPT, everybody has realized that AI winter is not nearby. Like there have been two AI winters in past, and but this time it is real, because this is the first time that the machine has shown intelligence with respect to language better than human. So yeah. So I think I mean, I hope I was able to give you an answer on that. So, so yeah, I think globally there is a movement, though here, Toronto, there is a bit more, institutions are much more involved and institutions are much more research oriented as compared to what I had been, interacting in India. Yeah.
It's also interesting to evaluate, why open AI ended up being the way it was. Well, in Montreal, we had Element AI with one of the godfathers of AI, Yoshua Bengio, and
Yeah.
just see how the Silicon Valley mindset seems to be always winning. Tons of money, tons of talent, uh,
Yeah.
product first approach. Do you feel that Open AI can scale to AGI with their current LLMs?
Um, um, yes and no. I'll answer that one. Right. So most important part to understand is that language is hardly 5% of our brain. Language handling is hardly 5% of our brain. Mostly the eyes is the eyes. Okay. 40% of our brain is just dedicated to eyes, the frontal cortex. And essentially, how should I say? The logical reasoning is still way behind in terms of language, large language model. The logical reasoning is still very, very, very primitive. Okay, so what people did for a large language model, we have to do the same thing for large computer vision models, right? What we did in case of large language model, we took the entire text from entire world. We made a machine which could guess the next word given a prompt, and we made it, learn all of that aspect, right? That's what is large language model. Now, with respect to the computer vision, what we have to build is probably similar thing, whereby we take few frames of a YouTube video and it tries to predict the next frame. So, and it's like large computer vision model which learns to predict the next frame. And if we do that on scale on entire videos of YouTube, probably we'll be able to hit the AGI earlier than we thought. Okay, but with only the language model, the way I'm seeing right now, and with respect, the computer vision models or reinforcement learning models are way behind even today. Reinforcement learning model are not able to generate that amount of data and not able to learn it. And I mean, it's a hard thing. It's a fairly hard puzzle. And let me ask you this very simple question. Very simple question. I should ask you this. The let me ask you. You have two parents, right? They had four parents. They had eight parents, right? So let's say there are 20,000 generations. So you have in total 2 to the power 20,000 parents, right? So your intelligence is a result of so many people walking around, learning from the ground, and then passing on to their genes. And so if you think about the amount of learning that has resulted in your intelligence is requires way, 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 way more computing and way more experience. And therefore, AGI is yet to, I mean, is far away still. The kind of intelligence, the thing is that what we have to learn is the way we define intelligence is actually wrong. For last couple of years, like not last couple of years, last couple of thousands of years, okay, just give me a moment, I will. For last couple of thousands of years, the way we have defined intelligence is based on the language. Somebody who can speak longer sentences, somebody who can talk more, somebody who's more creative is more intelligent. But intelligence is way more than that. The general intelligence is being able to handle the circumstances, the vision, and lots of things. So I think there's a longer way to go for intelligence. And I would say this, that the brain that we have for large language model is not even equivalent of a lizard. Okay, hardly it's the size of the lizard's brain, and we need much more bigger brain to do the AGI. That's what I feel.
Yeah, and goals which are unique to each humans, but most of which are biologically related to
Yeah,
reproduce, to eat,
yeah, yeah,
um, to conquer, I would say,
yeah,
which is causing a bunch of problems in this world nowadays with
yeah,
conflicts like Hamas and Ukraine.
yeah,
Um, and then I keep asking myself, is it just because our box containing that brainware is small because it hasn't evolved over the years, but the pathways are more efficient, I guess. I have somewhat a better control of my biology nowadays. I know that if I eat sugar, I'll get it down and I'll just think less clearly. Um, but yeah, I think with nanotechnology, eventually it's not necessarily the size of things, but how much can you pack there? um, when would you foresee man merging with AGI with devices such as Neuralink?
yeah, yeah. Um, I think the man has like merged with the machines already. Okay, we we use so many tools as our body parts as of today, as a hearing aid, as eyes aid, and so on. So I think the man merging with machine has already started, and I think it'll going to be in a win-win for people, right? And the way I always look at intelligence is that intelligence was designed for survival, right? Like if you see that the let's take the basic basic fish, right? It's called polyp fish. Polyp fish has got probably the smallest brain. So it has got the brain and eyes. The brain is like a couple of cells. And you know, so essentially if you notice the entire development of the brain, it's essentially to handle the stimulus so that it can survive, right? And simple as that. But as we grew, right, we started creating these constructs in between. Okay, the constructs, as in the first construct was like like for example, for survival, what you need make sure that you are able to secure your family and everything, and that created a society. So society is a construct that we created so that we could all survive. But at the same time, as we kept on going, we created societies, but we forgot that we created society for our individual survival. And then this, like the entire country formation again is for my individual survival and individual survival of people. But then we forgot that the purpose of a country is for people's survival. And I think the country conflicts and so on are pretty complex. But if we all as people remember that we all are living, the purpose of our brain is to help us survive. And if we know that then these conflicts will be less, I believe so. Yeah,
And as humans, we keep complexifying things, but also surviving is so
yeah,
different than back then. Now
yeah,
we've convinced ourselves that being poor means that it may put at odd or very survival or
yeah,
like looking not so good and having not so much followers and stuff like
yeah,
that. So, and us humans, we keep on being more competitive,
yeah,
evolving really fast and challenging one another pretty much all the time.
yeah,
Um, and it's pretty much true that this polyp fish does not have much decisions to take. It's like a switch. It's like 0 or 1, right?
yeah,
Yes or
yeah,
no. Um,
yeah,
which is beautiful, all listed in its core. it's already over, but we could book a round two for potentially in a couple of months. Sandeep, where can people find out more about you until then?
What?
About you online. Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, yeah, you can find about me on LinkedIn and on my CloudEx Lab. I would be more frequent in publishing my video. I'm working on making a course, the deepest course on the internet regarding reinforcement learning. I'll be publishing it, and I'm personally very passionate about the AI. And there are a couple of things that I've been working on. We'll be publishing those. The couple of papers that have been pending for last 6 months now, I'll be publishing those. And I mean, mostly I'll be found on LinkedIn.